My name is Scott Anton with Gideon Taylor, and welcome to our little mini session here. We're going to get you in and out fairly quickly. For those of you who have the time today and tomorrow during the conference, we've got some additional sessions also scheduled during booth hours like this, mini sessions that are about 15 to 20 minutes in bite-sized chunks. Those are highlighted in the red boxes down below. And then at the top here, we've got a main conference session, optimizing and extending the department users experience in HCM 9.2 coming up this afternoon. So we encourage you to join us for those sessions. As a quick introduction to Gideon Taylor, we've been working with PeopleSoft for 20 years. This is actually our anniversary year, so happy birthday to us.
Our anniversary month too.
Yes, yes. We introduced our first version of GT eForms, which is the tool that we're going to be highlighting here during our quick mini session, back in 2003. And over the last 18 years, our focus has really become helping organizations drive greater efficiency, greater functionality within their PeopleSoft systems using GT eForms, as well as other technologies that are delivered by Oracle. So our mission is to help organizations revolutionize business processes and ultimately help our clients work simply, effectively, efficiently, and flexibly. I will point out also this logo down here. GT eForms is the only forms tool that's certified by Oracle for PeopleSoft. So a very good stamp of approval. And there are some folks in the People Tools leadership team that are very big fans of GT eForms and what it can do for PeopleSoft clients. There's a new logo underneath Gideon Taylor, and that's Newberry Enterprise Services, our new division. This month, we announced the merger of Gideon Taylor with Newberry Consulting Group. And so Newberry Enterprise Services is our new division focused on PeopleSoft consulting services, hosting and managed services, and robotic process automation. So if anybody's interested in additional PeopleSoft services beyond what we're talking about here, custom automation, let us know. Happy to answer any questions you might have or put you in touch with our Newberry team. They are also featuring services and solutions on UiPath, which is probably a company that you're going to be hearing more about. They just went public with an IPO last week, and they specialize in robotic process automation. Some very cool tools and solutions. Gideon Taylor, in addition to a broad array of PeopleSoft services that we provide, we're also specialists specifically in PeopleSoft custom automation. We do a lot of that through GT eForms, working with organizations around the world, helping them automate and optimize business processes using the eForms bolt-on, but then also other tools that Oracle delivers within your PeopleSoft toolset, activity guides and guided self-service, page and field configurator, questionnaire and acknowledgement frameworks, drop zones and event mapping, PeopleSoft Forms Approval Builder, as well as custom fluid development using the approval framework as the workflow engine. I mentioned that we're going to be focusing over the next few minutes on GT eForms and a couple of powerful examples of what forms automation can look like inside PeopleSoft. On the left-hand side of this slide, you see a lot of the configuration-based features that the GT eForms tool provides, and that ranges from pre-population and conditional behavior all the way through conditional workflow, automatically generating fluid applications on the fly, as opposed to having to go through custom fluid development to generate these custom applications, inline text, graphics, hyperlinks, attachment management, a whole host of things. And then on the right-hand side, it just points out essentially that GT eForms is infinitely extensible as a People Tools-based solution. So really anything that you want a custom form solution to deliver, you can create that within GT eForms. These are some quick screenshots of solutions that have been created. This is just a simple acknowledgement form. It's got some rich formatted text within here, and then just a simple acknowledgement button at the bottom. This is a form that to allow their faculty members to submit new courses to the course catalog. It's got a text formatter built into the form itself. So faculty members can highlight and embolden and italicize, underline, make any kind of formatting changes, and then have those reflected within the course catalog as it passes through the system and then updates PeopleSoft at the end. This is GT Analytics. It provides a bird's eye view of eForm activity and performance across the enterprise. This is a questionnaire that shows, that allows for incoming students to provide additional feedback as to why they selected Harvard. And then all of those scores are tallied behind the scenes in populated spreadsheet. And then Harvard can use that information for further planning and programming. And then this is a simple example of a role request or security access request form, a fairly common look and feel to an eForm solution. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple examples. I had advertised a job change form, but I was thinking that it might be cooler to look at a benefits enrollment form because there have been a number of new benefits programs and options that have been introduced as a result of COVID over the course of the last year. So folks might be thinking of ways that, that they can enable employees to sign on for new benefits. So this is going to show you an example of a fluid benefits enrollment form that we created with the University of South Carolina. They've implemented literally dozens of eForms for HCM automation over the last few years. This is one example of a really intelligent, highly dynamic form that, that all of their employees are using. They use this for annual enrollment as well as ongoing enrollment for new hires. So we're going to go ahead and submit an initial benefits eForm. We've got a landing page here that provides some basic instruction to the user. And we'll choose that option within our nav collection over there on the left. The page opens up and it presents me with some pre-populated information. That's all configuration based. I don't have to worry about having a developer come in and do event mapping or some other development to allow for the form to pre-populate. This is information about me. If I were filling this form out on behalf of someone, I would have my information reflected in the preparer information, and then I could fill in the information about the employee that I'm entering this on behalf of. I scroll down, I see some instructional text here at the top of this segment. I can put instructional text wherever I want or need within my form. I've got some slider buttons there that I can respond to, and based on the selections that I make, the form's going to dynamically change because it recognizes that, oh, well, okay, if you click yes, for this particular question, then I need to gather some additional information from you, or I need to present you with additional information with regards to this process. So I see here different segments opening up. I've got a hyperlink down there that will take me out to some additional information. And then as I scroll down, I see I'll get to a segment that prompts me for dependent and beneficiary information. And I'll have a grid down there. If I select that, yes, I want to list my dependents and beneficiaries as part of this process, I'll see a grid open up. Hang on a quick second. I'm going to fast forward here. So I'll click yes, and now it recognizes that it's going to open up a new segment for me. If I'm enrolling non-US citizens as dependents or beneficiaries, I get that edit message saying that I need to do that manually. Here's the grid, again, with some instructional text above to help the user understand what's happening. Grids are also configuration-based within eForms. You can put grids in throughout your form. You can also enable grids to pre-populate with information. So if you've got repeating rows of data that can populate from information that's already inside PeopleSoft, that makes it a whole lot faster and easier. And then the user can just make changes based on the data that's presented. We've got rules that are executing behind the scenes here and calculations right there. The form was able to calculate based on birth date, the age of this particular beneficiary that I've listed or dependent that I've listed. And then I saw that edit message come up saying that, oh, that person's too old to be claimed as a dependent. You need to list them as a beneficiary. So I went in and I made that change to make them a beneficiary. So again, forms, if they're well designed, can allow for processes to be a whole lot easier and a lot more accurate for the user, so you don't end up with errors in your system. and it guides the user through the entire process. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward. So there's information listing our beneficiaries and dependents. I'll navigate to the next page. Each one of these subsequent pages is going to walk me through another benefit enrollment, different options that I can select. And again, it's going to dynamically show me different information based on the elections that I choose.
Can I just ask a quick question, Scott?
Absolutely.
Do you embed these, and I'm sorry if you've already covered it, do you embed these forms then within the delivered open enrollment or enrollment process, or would these be standalone forms that we would find out there?
It is entirely up to you. So
but either is an option. Okay.
You can make forms, what's the word I'm looking for? Accessible in any way that you want. You can have your own work center navigation. You can have the nav collection. You can have these as links within activity guides. Really any way that you would want to allow users to access these. And then at the end of this process, once this user has elected or declined all the different aspects of coverage, the form automatically updates PeopleSoft. So very powerful way of creating custom applications for any kind of self-service, manager self-service, department self-service, employee self-service. There you see calculations. So based on the employee's salary, it will determine how much life insurance they're eligible for. It will populate that value. And then depending on the plan that they choose, it will adjust that value if it's a different percentage. One of the really cool comments that I'll make about USC, University of South Carolina, who uses this form, is they have fundamentally changed how users interact with their PeopleSoft HR applications and with employee self-service. So they've completely refaced their PeopleSoft applications with eForms. So many self-service actions that their employees initiate are eForms based. Many manager self-service transactions are eForms based. The users don't even know what a delivered PeopleSoft page looks like because they're being presented in these fluid self-service pages within eForms. So that is a quick overview of the benefits enrollment form. Again, it automatically updates. In this case, it updates 6 different components at the end of the process. And this is just walking through those different pages within delivered PeopleSoft. So for USC, they were able to deliver a wholly custom, unique, process-driven eForm solution, suite of eForm solutions without customizing or modifying anything in delivered PeopleSoft behind the scenes. The second thing that I wanted to show you, which was advertised, was the tuition reimbursement form that Wakefern Food Corporation uses. And Wakefern Food Corporation, for any of you on the East Coast, you might recognize them as ShopRite stores and Price Rite stores. They have been they were actually our very first GT eForms client back in 2003. And they have created literally dozens of eForms over the years. For them, it's all HR-based automation, and they've done all kinds of really cool employee self-service and manager self-service, both for the corporate office as well as for the, I think they've got over 200 or 300 stores and distribution locations. So this is their tuition reimbursement form that they've enabled for employees to request tuition reimbursement for qualifying college courses. There again, we've got a hyperlink that takes them out to a page with additional information about the program. We've got a number of fields that have pre-populated based on the fact that the form recognizes who the user is because they're signed into PeopleSoft, they're accessing or initiating this form, and then I can go in and fill in the fields that are required. I've got 2 fields here that are kind of unique, that pre-populated, and these are the scores from their last 2 performance reviews. Those are required for a manager to review as part of this tuition, as to determine whether or not this particular employee would be eligible to participate in the tuition reimbursement program based on their performance evaluations. So here again, we see fields dynamically hide or display based on the choices that I'm selecting within the form. I've got the current academic year automatically populating based on a setup table behind the scenes that's calculating based on the start date that the user filled in. And then we can select the semester in which I'm taking this course or courses. Here, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the college name, address, my major of study, the degree sought. This particular program is only eligible for undergraduate study. So you see that this field down here is display only. You can make fields display only or editable. All of that is condition based again as part of your form setup. And then as I scroll down, I can enter as many courses as I need. So I'll just enter the course title, add additional rows. Below that, I see a segment for cost information, and I've got a link there that allows me to review the repayment agreement, download that. The full balance that I'm allowed to claim is $52.50. So as I enter an amount here that I'm estimating for my reimbursement value, it's going to automatically recalculate the remaining balance based on the amount that I'm requesting. So you'll see that update here as I fill in the estimated cost.
Can you make the form go out and look at any year-to-date payments?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a very valuable capability for not only something like this, but also leave requests, being able to see your leave balances and present those within the form and then have that automatically update as part of the form transaction.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And being able to pull in data into the form to make decisions like that or to display that information, that's a functional capability. So it's like it has built-in query capability, and it's really, really powerful.
This is, we just built, or we're building this process in the PeopleSoft delivered for education reimbursement right now. And of course, we have to run the queries after the fact to make sure that they're eligible and that they haven't used all their money and like all those pieces. So this, I grabbed a screenshot so I can take it to our team and say, you know, we might want to reconsider. This is right. really, really good stuff here.
That's great. One thing that I'll point out that maybe I didn't make clear. So this remaining balance, to your point, Christy, if that was decremented, if they had already claimed some reimbursements, that remaining balance value would have been, it's pulling directly from PeopleSoft. So if they only have 3,000 left in their balance within PeopleSoft, it would only show that within the remaining balance amount. So it only shows them the amount that they're still eligible for. And that's live data that's being pulled from PeopleSoft.
Do you know, sorry, this might be getting way too in the weeds. Where would that be in PeopleSoft? Are you doing like an accrual balance or something for that? Or are you doing it off of a year-to-date earnings of how much they've used?
Paul, would you have an idea?
You're hoping I know, and I don't. I don't know
where
they're pulling that from.
We can figure that part out later. I was just thinking, well, where would you get that? I mean, that's how we do it. We use the year-to-date balances, but if there's an easier way, but I think I know how we would have to do it, but that's okay. We can get there later.
Yeah. There are all kinds of ways you can approach it, and you can even, and I'm not sure if we did in this solution or not, set it up to take into account pending requests. So you could say you've got a remaining balance of $52.50, but you've already requested 2,000 of that, so $32.50 is what you have actually eligible. And then if that other form ends up getting withdrawn or denied, it changes the balance again real time. So lots of things you can do to make that's really dynamic.
Yeah, especially important on the leave requests because of the, they might have already approved future PTO, even though it hasn't been used yet. And yeah, we run into that all the time.
Yeah.
Down at the bottom here, we see a couple of acknowledgement statements. And again, in this case, we're enforcing that the user acknowledge those and accept those before they can proceed. But again, That's up to you how you define your form, if you want that to be a soft stop or a hard stop. So we'll go ahead and submit. Again, we provide some instructional information on this last page so that they know what to expect now that they've submitted it. We can view the approval routing. This has 4 different levels of approvers that it needs to pass by. That might be conditional. Some of those steps may not be required based on what department the employee is in, based on what amount that they're requesting for reimbursement. Those are all rules that are established as part of the form setup. So those are a couple of quick run-throughs of eForms. Any other questions that folks might have?
Sorry, you're going to have to slow down and give us and form a line, okay?
I think this was great, and I was really glad that Ben was on earlier. He's a newer developer with us, and for him to see the options rather than us as functional users saying it's got to do more than this. So this is really exciting stuff. So thank you guys for your time and for doing the demo for us.
You bet, Christy.
Yeah.
I will
and
put
hopefully
for the Interact conference this summer. If anybody from Samaritan is going, we'll have that workshop on the Forms Approval Builder. We have a session also that I think is on email-based approvals, which is really cool, and that's delivered as part of the forms. Hartford Healthcare, one of our newer clients that automated all of their personnel actions with eForms, as well as additional pay and something else that they're working on. They're doing a session on their eForms project, and University of Oklahoma Health Sciences Center is also doing a big presentation on their on the eForms that they're using within HR. So
that's great. We have these initiatives to get everything electronic and get rid of paper forms, but PeopleSoft Delivered is very clunky, and I think the biggest issue we have is we get all this stuff, we download it to Excel, we copy it over, put it into a different file format to then send to payroll to upload into PSHUP, and it's like, this should just happen.
Yes.
These tables just need to update, and it's been one of our initiatives for 3 years, and I'm taking this back to my manager that, PeopleSoft, because that's what my colleague and I were saying, is all the form sessions for this conference are vendor led, which tells you something right there, right? And so I'm going to just go back and say, we might have to spend a little money to save money. It would pay for itself. I know it would. And plus it would look decent. It would be intuitive and user-friendly for our managers, and that's the biggest complaints we have. And so we're always looking for, well, should we use SharePoint, or should we use, it's like, we need to use PeopleSoft.
Right.
Make it work for us. And so this is really exciting. It's really
awesome. Well, Christy, thank you. We appreciate you coming in this morning.
Yeah. So I made my notes, and I have this as a, hopefully, do we get copies of the recorded sessions, or?
Only if we have your information.
Okay.
So if you want to go in and fill out the Questopoly entry inside our booth, that'd be fantastic. Or if you just want to send me an email, Scott@Gideon Taylor, you're also welcome to. So
I will. I do. I want to, especially, where we can talk about the tuition reimbursement, which we just, like I said, we're just trying to build out that process and automate it. I think it'd just be really good timing to show this is what it could look like. And then, we could always talk about the rest of the story later as far as contractor dollars or whatever. But I think it's important, and it's good timing to know what else is available to us.
Awesome.
I also sent you a LinkedIn invite, Christy, if you have trouble remembering how to spell Scott or anything like that.
No problem. Thank you guys.
I mean, everyone knows how to spell Gideon, but Scott is such a weird name.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Christy,
we had you came up in a couple sessions yesterday, or GTE or Gideon, and I was like, I felt like I was an expert on Gideon by the end of the day yesterday. So
fantastic. That's good.
Your names are out there, just so you know.
Awesome. What sessions did you hear about us in?
There was HR related sessions, but a lady was talking and about how she just uses this. And finally, the presenter's like, is that a Gideon form? And I don't know if it was under ACA or what we were talking about. And she's like, oh yeah. And they're like, okay, well, that's not a PeopleSoft delivered form, because it was really confusing. A lot of people like, where is that? How do we get that? So, but it came up and it was good conversation to have. So,
well, good. That's
Awesome.
good to hear that. Thanks for the intelligence,
Right.
the conference intel.
yeah, I'm excited. So thank you guys both. And
You
I'm
bet.
sure might see you in, we tried absence management and went actually to Chronos instead. So I might pick up, if I can, attend your session on that, because I am curious to see what you guys have to say about that and how it could be better than what our experience was initially.
I'll put a little wrinkle on that. So yeah, that session is going to be talking about delivered absence management. We have also worked with clients, though, on building out eForms based absence management as an alternative to PeopleSoft absence management. So in terms of leave eligibility, leave tracking, all of that stuff has been created as eForms based actions inside PeopleSoft. So some food for thought. It is a tool that really allows you to do a whole lot of stuff and make things a lot easier and faster for yourselves.
Since there's not a long line, can I ask a quick question? Do you guys do like protected leave forms and stuff like that for absence management, or is it just the like PTO, time off, sick leave kind of absences?
It's entirely what you would want to use it for.
Okay.
Yeah, you basically build any page you can imagine. The difference is that, again, rather than, whereas you could just build a PeopleSoft module, just build a custom component, building it as an eForm gives you all of the functionality of eForms with the built-in workflow, with the navigation and the consistent look and feel across different forms. And most of it you can do as a functional user. So it's the user that's putting fields on pages instead of a developer.
Of course, even though we're like HR technical team, we're not just HR, we're kind of that liaison. It still is always a battle to have to write up a development document to have a field added to a page. It's just makes you pull your hair out and then have to explain to them exactly how to do it and what you need and where you need it, what tables you need to join it to and everything else. It's like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can, especially if I have to explain to you how it has to be done. So
GTE Forms is a dream for HRIS organizations. It's great because it's a general tool. Oftentimes you don't want the actual departments to be building forms themselves, because it's a really powerful tool. You've got access to all the data in the database, and so you want some sophistication on the user. HRIS is just the perfect landing spot, and it reduces so much what you need to ask IT for. It's just
and we do
amazing.
We do our forms in PeopleSoft now. It's just, and IT brings a ton to the table, and they bring so much that we don't know, obviously. One of the other challenges we have with the delivered forms is that if you need to add something to the form after it's been published, you have to create a new form.
Yep.
Is that accounted for in your forms? I forgot to ask that earlier.
Yeah, you can make whatever changes you want to forms that have been built. So you can add fields, subtract fields, you can add segments, you can change segments, change labels. Really,
and doing so, one of the big problems in in the delivered forms is that when you make those changes, it changes where the data gets stored. So if you're trying to run queries based on the form data or export it or integrate it in other places, all of a sudden now you added a field and it shifts, and all the fields are you're not guaranteed that all the fields are still saved in the same place, and we don't do that. The data is stored in actual fields, actual tables with field names that match the fields on the form. You can sync query records that are fully queryable. You can use Query Tool to Query Manager to get in and join form data with other delivered tables really easily. You need to go in and see, well, who hasn't filled out one of these forms? You can easily write a query that does that. So yeah, lots of capacity. We get around a lot of, I say we get around a lot of delivered PeopleSoft forms problems. We didn't write it to get around them. We built this long before what they build ever came along. They just decided that they're not going to develop those features because we're filling that space. And they said, let's just let GT take care of this.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you guys both again.
You're welcome.
You bet. Thank you, Christy.
Thanks.
Have a great conference.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.